who better to read that with than you all? Let's go. Pimpology, the 48 Laws of the Game, Pimpin with Karen Hunter. Note to readers, the name of certain individuals discussed in this book have been changed. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through that entire list of contents as far as the table of contents. What I will do is blow up each page of the table of contents and you can screenshot it if you like. There are certain things you don't learn in school. You don't discover it until you are actually living as a slave in someone else's world, in someone else's illusion. Introduction. Pimps are born, not sworn. Pimpin' 101. There are only two categories of people, pimps and hoes. You either give orders or you take them. You are either the kind of person who will have people working for you, bringing you the money, or you are the kind of person who will work for someone else, handing over your hard-earned dough. And let someone else tell you what to do. What to do, bend over. They don't even ask if you want any lube or not. That's all pimping is, control, mastering another. This reality may be offensive to some, but it's real. And if you open your eyes to what is truly going on in this world, you will see that everyone falls into one category or the other. That's how it goes. The absolute best pimps, business tycoons, power brokers, and politicians don't have girls on the streets working the tracks, but they do make countless dollars living off of other people's intelligence and hard work. Good pimps don't have to steal or take anyone's money by force because hoes will give pimps their money willingly. When you go downtown and see an old lady feeding a bird. The bird comes every day to check the lady for that bread. And the old lady chooses to come every day to be down with the bird, even that bird is pimping. The biggest, baddest, most powerful pimp of all time is named Uncle Sam. Every April 15th, he tells you to break yourself. In terms of the word bitch, I'm going to use female for the remaining of this document. The biggest, baddest, most. Okay. Every April 15th, he tells you break yourself, female. Uncle Sam can reach into your pocket at any time and take what he wants. And if you try to stop him, he puts your ass under pimp arrest. Instead of the man in the red, white, and blue suit with the top hat, they need to dress Uncle Sam in a fly Versace suit, some gaiters, and a jewel-encrusted cane. I was born a pimp. My daddy was a hustler, and I learned about pimping from him, both the good and the bad. He was a womanizer, a pull shark, and he shot dice. He was my first role model. His actions showed me how to manipulate people. My daddy didn't have any respect for a hoe, and no hoe could tell my daddy what to do. He treated hoes like shit, but they still kept coming around him anyway. He used to whip their arses, beat them, and send them to the hospital, and they still never left. This taught me that there was a power men could have over others, making them do anything and take anything thrown at them. I didn't follow exactly in my father's footsteps. I created my own pathway right beside his. Instead of using terror and violence, I developed my own form of persuasion. I used psychological warfare or pimpology to get what I want, which is often more treacherous than physical abuse. I use words and gestures to get others to act right and do right. The aim of this book is not to teach people how to pimp, but to promote the pimp mentality. If you don't have it, then you're apt to be somebody's hoe. If I have a lifelong, I have been a lifelong student of this game, and I developed my own style, my own way of getting what I want, not just from a hoe, but from any situation. Here's this pimp shoe. The shoe is cute. Be nice if we had some pimpstress shoes. Anyway, Law 1, purse first, ass last. If a pimp is going to have a chance, a female must give him money in advance. Father Divine is the quote. Quote by Father Divine. The life. A pimp associate of mine, Little Bear, came from a distinguished line of pimps. His daddy was one of the biggest pimps in Milwaukee when I was growing up. Pimping was in Little Bear, not on him. Years ago, Little Bear was running an after hours joint. Many pimps had these little clubs back in the day as a way of catching hoes. A bunch of us were in his joint when one of the finest hoes I ever seen walked in. She had a body like an hourglass. She was so fine that her mama should have had triplets. She was just a gorgeous hoe. The scene was live, but when this hoe walked in, the place stopped. Sammy, a half-assed pimp who was sitting in the corner, blurted out, this female fine. She don't need no choosing fee to F with my pimping. Out of nowhere, Little Bear jumped up and said, Female, break yourself. She walks up to Little Bear and asks, Mr. Bear, what can you do with this money that I can't do with it myself? If you can answer that, I will break myself. I'm not asking no questions like that. Period. But okay. Turn that off. Female, I'm the pimp and you're the hoe, he said. So act like the quarterback and pass the mother effing bankroll. She smiled and gave him the trap money. Little Bill then turned to me. That's a fine ass female, he said, as soon as she makes me 20 G's. I'm going to have some butt naked fun with her. Then he posed the same question he'd been asked to me. Pimpin', what could you do with that money? I stood up because I was about to perform and I wanted everyone to hear. For the record I started, I mean to say for the album because the record is too short. If any of you suckers want to know what a pimp can do with that money that a female can't, go to the mother freaking hardware store, get you some duct tape, tape that money on the wall, and piss on it. That's what a pimp can do that a female can't. The ism. Purse first, ass last is the motto of pimping, the very foundation on which pimping is built. What separates a pimp from a trick is that a pimp completely flips the game. A trick pays a hoe for the coochie la la, but a hoe doesn't get to F a pimp until she pays him. A hoe has got to put it in a pimp's pocket like a rocker before pimping can begin. It's not about the pimp breaking a hoe, it's about a hoe breaking herself. Violating this first law will guarantee a pimp a career of troubles and stress. If a woman can try you before she buys you, then, as B.B. King says, the thrill is gone. In life, what is expensive seems valuable, and what's available for free seems worthless. You heard that no one buys the cow when the milk is free, but what they didn't tell you is that after a while, no one even wants that free milk. To be valued, the key is not to give, but to receive. The more, the better. You don't want to earn your price, you want to cost it. That is the psychology behind the whole game. Anything worth having, you must pay for up front. That's Miss Hourglass. Yin Yang. And they know they wrong for this when they done put Obama in here with a chain and everything. The old man. Law number two, get a name in the game. A good name is like a credit card. You can use it when you don't have no cash at all. Quote, dope man. The life. My daddy's name was Collie, but people called him Johnny Slick because he was always hustling somebody. If he wasn't beating people in pool, he was cheating them in dice. Johnny Slick was known in the pool halls up and down Madison Avenue and 63rd Street in Chicago. He was also known on the streets because he couldn't lose at shooting craps. He built a name for himself and he taught me the power of public relations and how to build a reputation. Instead of the Nigga word, I'm going to use Negro. Negro, I'm Johnny Slick, he would yell in the streets. Can't nobody F with me. I'm the greatest. After hearing it often enough, people were convinced. As far back as I can remember, my daddy used to sit my four brothers and me down and make us say his name. Who am I? Johnny Slick, we all said in unison. What's my name, boys? Johnny Slick. We would go through this for hours sometimes, and I would be so mad. But once I hit the streets and saw how many Negroes respected my pops, it dawned on me that he was trying to teach us the importance of having a name. I used to go places and ask people if they knew my father, and they always did. When I was around 15 years old, I used to hang hard with my man JD, also known as Father Divine, who was also 15. Neither one of us had a driver's license, but we had lots of money from hustling. On the weekends, we would rent a nice, shiny stretch limo and drive through our neighborhood, hanging out of the sunroof, throwing stack streets. With each handful, we would shout out names. People would be going crazy. I would throw out about 300 singles, and with each handful, I would say, "This is from Ken Ivy, y'all." We started dressing like the pimps, shopping where they shop, like Now Bush and Brass Loop. We would go to school dressed like that. Our teachers looked at us like we had lost our minds, but the kids loved us. Everybody wanted to kick it with us, and all the order girls wanted to take us to the school dances. We were so popular that we never had to pay to get into those dances. We had already made the investment. By the time he turned 16, JD was an official pimp with three certified hoes. He was popping like a mother effer with his pimping. His name was ringing like a cell phone. I watched how much shine he was getting, and I wanted some too. One day we were at his house, him, his three hoes, and me. We were sitting at the table just kicking it, and I said, "Man, I got to get into this pimp." Shh. No problem, JD said. "I got three hoes. Which one do you want?" "The light skinned one." I said, not believing he was going to give me my pick. Her name was Red. "Female, excuse my pimping," he said. "But you're with my little brother now." I don't know who was happier, the hoe or me. She was smiling like Miss Kool-Aid. Okay. JD, here's what we're going to this is what we're going to do, I told him. I was always cooking up a plan. We're going to hang out with the older pimps and steal their game right from under them. "Little bro, all we need to do is what I'm already doing. Look good, smell good, and keep a fresh Fleetwood," he said. He was telling me to just build my name and the rest would come. Hoes respect money and power. If people respect you, you got it made. I was able to quickly get a name in my own backyard, but the real test came when I decided to broaden my pimping. I decided to go to the biggest city in America, New York, and see how good my pimping was. I got to New York and the stakes got higher. The pimps up there were so big, I had to really get it right. I couldn't have been in town more than 2 hours before I got knocked for the hoe I brought with me. My first day in New York and I got peeled. I was up there by myself, so I had to devise a plan not only to make sure I got had me a hoe to pimp, but also to get me a big name in the Big Apple. I had to get creative and quick. I was pimping like crazy, and I decided that every time I peeled a pimp for his hoe, I would give him a Wall Street Journal folded around a banana. "It's in the news. You just been peeled," I would tell him. If the nigga wanted to talk some I'm sorry, if the Negro wanted to talk some, I would put a bottle of ketchup under his tire and tell him, "You better catch up because my game is as thick as Heinz and yours will never be as thick as mine." This would really make a pimp mad. Once I had him mad, he would be talking. The more he talked, the more he spread my name and the more respect I started getting on the streets. People were impressed with my style of serving a Negro. Nobody was doing the same thing I was doing. As I was trying to knock those hoes, I would drive around the track throwing payday candy bars out my window. Make it a pimpin' kin payday, female, I would say, trying to hit a hoe on her ass with the candy bar. Who is that Negro? Who keeps harassing us with candy bars? The hoes wanted to know, and they soon found out. Pimps wanted to talk to me about my tactics. Not a payday candy bar. It's funny. Oh my gosh. He's funny. Because it really was pissing them off. When a pimp confronted me, I was prepared. I would make sure to always have a bunch of lollipops handy and would give one to the angry pimp. What's this for? He would ask. It's for you, sucker. I was always looking for a witty saying or looking to give some sort of speech because I knew that would stick with people. Sometimes I could see it in the pimp's eyes that he wanted to kill my ass, but pimping is a non contact sport. That is the NPA, the Pimpin Association, and I was number three. I was the mother effing Macca Jordan of that Once I conquered New York City, I needed to take my name to the next level. I moved to Atlanta and decided to make a name for myself in hip hop. I went to the clubs where the rappers hung out, shook hands with everybody in the club, and started talking to everyone there. After I was known, rappers started coming up to me. Once I had the ATL love, my next move was to get in their videos, talk on their albums, and get invited to all of the parties. I told them, y'all F with me and my name on the streets, and that gives you street credibility. If I F with y'all, then I get that rap and hip hop credibility. I ended up on stage with Outkast at the BET Awards, and I was featured in Jermaine Dupri's album. Ultimately, it was them, Little Flip 50, T.I. Nelly, and Little John who made my name internationally known. The ism. When you first come into the game, nobody pays you any attention. You got to keep your name popping until others keep it popping for you. It's not about being liked or loved, it's about being respected. When people hear your name, they have to first know who you are, then they must know that you are good at what you do. A name is nothing unless people can associate it with something extraordinary. You have to have something to back it, some unique talent or knowledge. First, make sure you have something to offer, or else you will be building a name in vain. Like my daddy used to say, you got to make sure they know you and respect you. Bruce did it. All right, law three, don't chase them, replace them. Give that female a Chinese name. One gone by Pimpin' Pokin' is the quote. Pokey, poke, Pimpin' Poke. All right. The life. The first girl I ever liked was named Candy, and she was the finest girl in the eighth grade. I was the flyest dude in the eighth grade, so it was only natural that the two of us got together. I was 13 and had very little knowledge about the game, so I was on some square such as falling in love. I had other girls, but I thought Candy was the one. Then one of the partners at the time let me know that this older cat in the hood was poking Candy. You know what? I almost put on Candy, just like Candy. Oh, so sweet. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. All right. I tried to get her back, but the more I chased her, the more she ran. When I got tired of chasing her, I got smart. I said F her and ended up going after the girl Candy hated the most, her worst enemy. Of course, she didn't like that and she wanted to get back with me. I ignored her though. I'm looking at the time. That experience prepared me well for the that would go down in the game. When a hoe left me, I would throw a party. I thought about all the fun I had with that hoe's bread, and I knew that she was only making room for the next hoe with some dough. I learned a long time ago that hoes belong to the community. They look better going than they do coming, and they can get on like they've been sh- on. At the height of my career, I was knocking hoes back to back. They were coming in and going out regularly. Every time a hoe got out on me, another one was bumping into her on the way in. One day, my bottom female said, Daddy, you don't care about us, do you? I said, I like who likes me. But a hoe comes to pay and be on her way. I don't need 'em. I let the welfare feed 'em. When I first came home from the joint, my man, Father Divine, had three hoes in his Jaguar. 3 weeks later, he pulled up with four hoes, and three of them were new. Damn, I thought, hoes change like money changes hands. About 15 years ago, one of my partners, Flip, rest in peace, was just getting his feet wet, but he was sharp in the game. When he was pimping in Milwaukee, his name was something different. When he moved to DC, he changed it. As we were riding down Georgia Avenue, I asked him, Pimpin, I've been knowing you a long time. Why'd you change your name to Flip? Man, I've been out here for a year, he said of his time in DC, and I done flipped about 50 females, knocking them Negroes' socks off. Man, these hoes are not dedicated at all. They will F with me. The next day they're effing with Smiley. Then they leave him and start effing with Shorty P. Then Grit come and knocks all of these females. I got to just break them and keep it moving. I don't get emotional with none of them females. Hoes. I don't chase them. I just pimp on the next hoe. I dig that, I said. If a female will leave her mama and she would definitely leave a pimp. Mother had him, mother F him. The ism. If you're not laced and you try pimping with your heart, you will lose before you even start. In any situation, the one doing the chasing is more apt to be played out. If someone knows they are being chased, they are in the driver's seat and they will usually take advantage. The one who can control his emotions will be the one to control the relationship or situation. I hope all my females is taking notes right here. Never put yourself at the mercy of someone else. Always be mentally prepared to have a replacement step in if need be. What just went on in chapter 4 was also discussed in my last video, The Art of Seduction, in regards to that whole chasing thing. Make sure you review that video. Law number 4, keep a hoe in arrears. Quote, a female of mine better not keep a dime. Kenny Red. The life. I had this hoe from Chicago. She was also always asking me why she couldn't have any money. A female gets no dough, I told her, and that's how pimping goes. No, that's not why, she said. Okay, Einstein, hoe why? Because as long as you have all the money, I can never pay the bills. I can never buy my own clothes. I can never eat unless you say so, she said. You do this to control my actions and keep me totally dependent on you. Plus, I can't think for myself, and if I try to leave, I will leave with nothing. Basically, the clothes on my back. So basically, I will always need you. That sounds like every person that don't have their own business. That sounds like every person, period. Whether you own your own business or not. Being a slave to the system. Period. So that you will always need the government or your job or you just up a broke or excuse me or whatever else. All right. I start her right there. Yes, but female, I have to listen to all of your problems, I told her. Men don't listen. I have to teach you how to make money you say you can't keep. And if you go to jail, I have to take the money you say you can't keep and bail you out. That is your choice. I'm sure in the course of a day you run into 4 police cars, 2 ambulances, and a dog catcher. You don't ask one person to save you from pimping. As I see it, you like to depend on me. Most folks like to depend on their job or their government. The ism. A pimp says he can keep a hoe in the hole because she is irresponsible. But the real reason is that the more someone depends on you, the more power you have over them. To master someone completely, they have to depend on you for everything. When a pimp first gets with a hoe, he tells her to break herself. After that, she will only see money long enough to bring it to him. Because he can only manage the money she makes, a pimp depends on a hoe at least as much as she depends on him. But the key for a pimp is to make that hoe think that she always needs him. He talks a good game, seems wise and knowledgeable, and she wants to believe she needs him to handle things. The better you talk, the more people depend on you. Since hoes like to feel well taken care of, they agree to let pimps handle everything. Even if they know deep down that they could have the upper hand, not wanting to take it, want to take it is what makes someone a hoe in the first place. Y'all are choosing to remain hoes. Law number 5. Prey on the weak. A female's a female's weakness is a pimp's sweetness, pimpin' kin, the life. It usually starts with tears. I will see her crying for some seemingly no reason at all, and I seize the moment. Say, female, what's the matter? I ask in my most concerned voice. Nothing. She sniffles. Oh, you know you can tell Daddy anything, I say. The story eventually comes out. It usually is a similar story. I was raped as a little girl, I was abused, and I feel really bad about myself. And if I see that MFer, I will kill him, I say to her. But how can you feel bad about yourself? You are making $200, $300 an hour. You can make more than $1,000 a day. Excuse me, y'all. You have been telling you how beautiful you are. You, some of these tricks are saying they want to marry you. You have started off in the ghetto living in some show, but you have ended up with furs, diamonds, and even a home. I knew this one hoe, Prissy, who didn't look at all like she belonged. I asked her, damn female, why are you out here doing this? I can't stand those mother effers, she said, speaking about her parents. I want to be my own person. Say, female, imagine their faces if they saw you effing with me. Success is the best revenge, right? Girl, please. The ism. Most hoes have low self esteem for a reason. Interesting. A pimp looks for that weakness. If it isn't on the surface, he brings that mother effer out of them. It doesn't matter to a pimp what hoes' weaknesses are so long as they have them. Then he uses those weaknesses to his advantage. Somebody from Atlanta I hit up said, you ought to come live here and I pimp you out. No, baby. I don't need, no, not at all. Weakness is the best trait a person can find in someone they want to control. If you can't find a weakness, you have to create one. You have to tear someone's ego down